Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki waho, tuia ki roto, tuia ki te here tangara, ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao, homie, huie, tai ki e. So, welcome along, everybody. This is the karakia that I've just shared with you, and it is about uniting, coming from different backgrounds, listening to our surroundings, the night, the light, and coming together as one and uniting. So, really fitting karakia. So, welcome to our first engagement sessions for the long-term plan, 24 to 34. It's a 10-year period. It's focused more heavily on the first 3 years with an LTP. Yeah, we'll hopefully have a few more people joining us as we go. So feel free to hop in and hop out. And yeah, it's great to have some people along with us today. So yeah, I'm Gretchen Robertson. I'm the chair of the Otago Regional Council and your host for today. I'll be doing a short welcome and outlining how today's session will run before handing on to our team for some more information on the long-term plan. The long-term plan, or the LTP, you might hear it being called that as well, is the cornerstone for setting the direction of our key work programs for the next 10 years. And it will build a stronger future for Otago. To develop the LTP, we look at our planned work and the outcomes we want to achieve. Strong and resilient communities, partnering with mana whenua, protecting our environment, addressing our climate change, and providing our public transport. In LTP, there's a significant focus on public transport and large-scale environmental project funding, as well as some changes to how rates are calculated. And so, yeah, we've proposed a few changes there and we'd like some feedback. We've developed our draft LTP and we've now entered our formal period of consultation with our community. We want to hear your feedback on the proposals. The purpose of today is for us to share our key themes from the LTP with you to ensure you're well informed for making your submissions. Today we'll hear from internal staff who will present the LTP draft proposals, and then there will be an opportunity for you to ask for some questions or further details. There's going to be some face-to-face drop-in sessions at a location near you over the coming weeks. We encourage you to learn more about the proposals as well by looking at the ORC website, and you can actually find a copy of the LTP and an online rates estimator for your particular property. We have 1 hour for today's sessions, and we would ask that people are respectful of one another's perspectives and questions. We're recording today's session and it will be available on our website. So, some introductions before we do share our draft LTP content. We're joined today by Richard Saunders, ORC's CE, as well as members of our councillor team. I can't quite see who exactly is here at the moment. I haven't got everyone up, but we have got some councillors here, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. And we have some of our staff team as well, and some of them you'll be hearing from today. I'm pleased to introduce you as well to Bridie Strang, a sign language interpreter from Dunedin, who will be supporting us and our deaf community. Great to have you here, Bridie. Vanessa Vidalon is our session administrator today and will be managing any incoming questions. We have 4 presenters today who will cover environmental funding: Libby Caldwell, Yeah, there's Louis. Public transport, Lorraine Shen. Hi, Lorraine. Rates changes, Nick Donnelly. There's Nick. Flood and drainage infrastructure with Pam Wilson. Hi, Pam. Great background there in the bush. So, yeah, once we've heard from our experts, we will have an open mic session where community members are invited to submit questions in the chat function or raise your hand and Vanessa will get to you. In the meantime, everyone not presenting will have their microphone muted. The intent is that this session is to answer your questions and provide information to you on our proposals, and then people can provide feedback online. Or you might like to attend one of our face-to-face drop-in sessions where we will have councillors and staff available to answer any more questions you have and hear your feedback. So, to my sheet here. We are going to move now into the presentations, and I understand that the first one will be from Nick, and it is going to be on changing how we rate. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, thanks, Gretchen. You can all hear me all right? Yep, all right, all good. Okay, so changing how we rate. So this is, one of the key three proposals that we're consulting on. And what we've done is through the preparation and, making our long-term plan or the draft long-term plan, we've been through a review of our revenue and financing policy. So for those of you who don't know, that's the policy that drives how we actually apply rates to all the various activities. And part of that, we've been through quite a comprehensive review of the funding needs analysis for all of our activities. So the first key point to make is that we're proposing a number of changes to that revenue and financing policy, and we're aiming to ensure that rates are applied where we can by some key principles. And those principles are that we want the rates to be fair, and we want them to be workable and transparent. And the transparency one is quite key because we want ratepayers, you that are online and everybody out there to have a better understanding of what their rates are for and how we actually go about setting them. So that's one of the first points. What that has then led to is we've made changes to about 10 rate types. And they include a vast number of our activities. So the rates that cover public transport and the rates around our flood and drainage schemes in particular are having some quite significant changes. Those rates impact the majority of ratepayers, although they're not general rates. They do apply to most people pay some or multiple of those rates. And while we're changing the rates and the allocation of who pays, we're not actually impacting, this part of it isn't impacting the service or the level of service that we're providing or how much we're spending. That's dealt elsewhere in the proposals that you'll hear. This bit of it is just around who pays and how we allocate the amounts that various people pay for those activities. As I said, the proposals affect pretty much every property across the whole region because we've done a very comprehensive review, looked at all of the rate types, and the changes that we've made are to rates where some of them, like some of the new ones that we're bringing in, actually apply to every single property, so they're almost like general rates. So the real key would be, if you've got an interest in this and want to submit on it, and we'd love to hear what you've got to say, go to our online rates estimator. You can go there. The link is there. If you go onto our website, you type in your property. You can do it. You can just search by your district and then your address, and it will bring up what your current rates are for this year, and then what your rates would be using the current revenue and financing policy that we've got, and what they will be using the new revenue and financing policy that we're proposing. So you can see the impact of the increase in costs that we've got to recover on the same basis as this year's rates, and the change that we're proposing to make to rates. So really, if you take one thing out of this about your rates, go online, go to the estimator, type your address in and have a look, and you'll be able to see what it actually means to you at an individual property level. That's probably it for me.
Oh, well done, Nick. Thanks for that. And I can see now that we are joined by Councillor Elliot Weir, Councillor Kevin Malcolm, and Councillor Alexa Forbes. So welcome to those councillors as well. And I can see we've joined by a few people from the public as well. And as we said, we're recording here as well, so it'll go up on the website and people can refer to it beyond today. So the next slide that is going to, we have some questions now. We'll have questions later on at the end, won't we, I think? So we'll go to the next slide, which is Libby, which is going to be on investing in our environment. Over to you, Libby.
Thanks, Gretchen. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yep, cool, that's great. So I'm Libby Caldwell and I'm the manager of the environmental implementation team here at ORC. So one of the key items that we're consulting on is around environmental funding. So currently ORC provides up to $1.9 million to community groups and other organisations, either directly or through contestable funding, which deliver environmental projects. That's for the 2023-2024 financial year. So this includes through our Eco Fund, which supports community-led environmental projects. So this year we have provided an extra one-off investment for large-scale environmental projects focused on improving Otago's biodiversity. And we've just closed our contestable funding for the year, which includes the Eco Fund, incentive funding and large-scale funding, where we have over $900,000 available, and we've received 66 applications to assess, with a total of $2.7 million in requests from the community to undertake environmental work across the region, which that just shows that our current funding is heavily oversubscribed. We've also supported predator-free Dunedin for the last 5 years by providing funding of $1.5 million. We're proposing through the long-term plan to introduce an environmental fund to deliver large-scale environmental projects to help us protect and restore the environment for the benefit of current and future generations. So the large-scale environmental projects would include projects that deliver benefits across multiple environmental domains and protect and restore threatened ecosystems, catchments and landscapes. And this presents opportunities to expand the types and the scale of projects that Otago Regional Council supports. And some of the examples of the types of projects that may be funded include large-scale pest control, some biodiversity rehabilitation and water quality improvements. Funding these large environmental projects will raise awareness and empower the community to participate in environmental initiatives across our region. And we know how important the community is in achieving environmental outcomes, and for us to support this ownership and activity is really important. Funding is also required to maintain the environmental gains made through projects previously funded by ORC or by central government, and supporting community groups and other organisations to take environmental action also creates opportunities to partner with philanthropists and other organisations that have funding available. So this funding proposal is in addition to the work that's already funded, and our preferred option is a dedicated fund to support large-scale environmental projects with at least $500,000 in funding available in the year 2025 to 2026. So that's year 2 of the long-term plan. And our preferred option is that is funded by targeted rates in the districts. We've had really strong feedback from community groups that this funding is necessary to maintain environmental gains already made, but we are seeking feedback from the public on this initiative to hear whether this is something that people think is or feel that is important, and also if the district rating option is desirable. So it would be really great to get feedback on this initiative, and we're really keen to hear what people think about this and what option they would like to see moving forward. And that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Livy. We will have questions at the end, as I said. So we are going to move on to the next slide, which is investing in public transport, and Lorraine will take us through this one. Over to you.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Kia ora koutou. I'm Lorraine Cheen. I'm Manager of Transport at Otago Regional Council, and the biggest investment that we make in the transport is in our public transport, and that is the provision of bus services in Dunedin and Queenstown and ferry services in Queenstown. Over the last year, more than 4 million trips were made on our buses in Dunedin and Queenstown. That's 4 million trips for people who may not have had another transport choice, or for people who needed to get somewhere where they couldn't take a car, couldn't afford parking in that place, or just needed the convenience. And it's also 4 million cars or vehicles that potentially weren't on the road for all the people who were still needed to use the roads to drive around. So it's very important to keep this investment in the communities, and the increasingly the use of public transport as we continue to invest in electric buses and electrifying the fleet will help to contribute to the reducing of carbon in the environment from the transport network. The proposal is to increase public transport funding over the next 10 years to build on our existing services, and we always need to strike a balance between improvements and managing costs. We're proposing in that respect to spend around 315 million over 10 years on Dunedin on public transport. Essentially, it's to run mostly the same services. It will involve upgrading the fleet to electric and making some low-cost, big benefit changes to services that would include extending the service running times across the day, longer running hours, and increases in some frequencies on some services, and looking to better timetable services for making more connections. A big driver for the low cost, big benefit changes are around supporting the new Dunedin hospital build, so that people in future who want to visit the hospital, and some people who need to access the hospital for services, and increasingly and especially staff who need to be available for shift work at the hospital, will be supported by some of the changes we'd like to make for public transport in Dunedin. Being central, although they will support the Dunedin hospital, they will also support the people accessing a range of services and activities and facilities in the CBD, and as well including the university. The next slide. In Queenstown, we're proposing to invest almost 194 million in public transport over 10 years. It's a different proposal in Queenstown because it will include significant increases to services, service frequencies, and again, those running times, like the times of the day that you'll be able to catch public transport. And it's required in Queenstown to support the high levels of growth, both all the residential growth, but the return of tourists post-COVID. The extent of people using public transport will support the freeing up of the network for the vehicles that need to run around to do their business, and hopefully avoid the worsening of the more or less gridlock conditions that we observe on the network in Queenstown at times. So rates are needed to cover these costs. We also achieve funding from the government through the New Zealand Transport Agency, Waka, which makes a significant contribution to all of the costs of providing public transport in the region. Thank you.
You're finished now, Lorraine? Yep. Thank you very much. Right, so the final in our series of presentations this evening is crucial flood protection work with Pam.
Hello everyone, can you hear me okay? Awesome, thank you. So I'm Pam Wilson and I'm here on behalf of our engineering team to share a little bit about ORC's draft infrastructure strategy that forms part of our long-term plan. So we provide flood protection and drainage to around 43,000 hectares of rural and urban land in Otago. This includes, for example, flood protection and or drainage schemes in Alexandra, the Water of Leith and Dunedin, the Lower Clutha and the Lower Taieri. We also have schemes at Stony Creek on the southwestern side of Wanaka and a portion of the Lower Waitaki River Control Scheme that sits inside Otago as well. So overall, we're responsible for 218 kilometres of flood banks, 14 pump stations, 42 bridges, 535 kilometres of drains, 369 culverts and other structures. Some of those other structures, such as groins, rockwork and training lines, exist outside of our scheme areas and are all over Otago, such as the rock buttress at Albertown and a training line on the lower Shotover River Delta, just to name a couple of examples. So ORC has drafted a new infrastructure strategy for our infrastructure, outlining how we will maintain these key assets over the next 30 years. It contains a lot more detail about the infrastructure that has just been summed up on this slide and includes details and maps of our schemes and infrastructure across Otago. Importantly, our draft infrastructure strategy identifies significant issues that are likely to impact on the management of our flood protection, drainage and river management infrastructure within the 30-year lifetime of the strategy. It's really important that we identify these issues and how we might address them, as the lifespan of this infrastructure spans generations, much longer than a 10-year LTP period. The scale and importance of this infrastructure and contributing to overall community resilience means that within the lifetime of the strategy, and particularly the first 10 years, some key decisions will need to be made in relation to the levels of service provided, and both decision making with council and communities and eventual implementation takes time. There are some significant challenges that we face in the management of this infrastructure around things like climate change, natural hazards, land use change, legislative and regulatory changes, infrastructure condition and funding. And ultimately, what underpins all of this is the level of risk that communities and our infrastructure are exposed to as we face these challenges. The risks we're all willing to tolerate and how we might look to close the gap over that time. Some of those solutions may involve more nature-based solutions or maintaining or building resilience in the infrastructure that we already have. There is more information, more detail about each of these decision points, the principal options, the scale of costs, and the assumptions made in the draft infrastructure strategy. So we have around 315 million in upgrades and infrastructure renewals planned, with 67 million of these in the next 10 years. One thing that is new in our draft infrastructure strategy this time around is that we are able to be more transparent about what is included in our investment program, and you will find these presented within section 4 of the draft strategy that forms part of the online consultation material. There is also an interactive map that you can find on our flood protection and river management page on the ORC website. This is handy if you want to type in your address to see what is proposed and when it is being proposed for and how much it might cost. We do encourage you to have a look at this to learn more about our proposed work programs. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. I noticed as well that we have Councillor Kate Wilson as well with us. Now, if there's any other councillors that I've missed, feel free to let us know. We'll have a chance to have a little bit of feedback from them in a moment. But the most important part now is handing over for some questions. So if there are any, now is the chance. And Vanessa's going to be looking out for hands raised or any chats that might come through. So just let us know if you've got a question.
Yep, there's a question from Patricia.
Sure. Patricia.
Sorry, Patricia, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I was just wondering about the regional areas like Wanaka and Luggett, because, yeah, I have had a property there for quite a long time. Are there any plans for public transport from those satellite towns into Wanaka, or from Queenstown to Wanaka, Cromwell, Wanaka?
Thank you very much for the question. This might be one that Lorraine could answer. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Patricia. We do have a program for proposing to look at some trial services for providing local public transport services in communities that don't currently have them. I mentioned Queenstown and Dunedin, those are our two existing networks, but we have a proposal in the long-term plan to look at some what we call trials, so start investigating the types of services that we might be able to provide in Wanaka and in Oamaru, around Balclutha to Dunedin, and in Alex Clyde and Cromwell. Okay, thank you, because there is an increasing population there, and yeah, I know that public transport would be beneficial to those towns. And also, yeah, it would also be better for the environment as well. Absolutely, yes.
Thanks, Patricia. You asked, I think, specifically about links between Wanaka and Queenstown and Luggett, which is on the way between those two, I guess. But yeah, so Lorraine, did you want to touch on that bit?
So with the trials, they are new services, so we're sort of looking to secure that co-funding from the government, and then we will be working with the local councils, the territorial authorities, and the local communities to investigate exact routes and frequencies and services. So we haven't ruled any small places like Luggett in or out at this stage. That would be something that we would need to do in this next 3 years, the first 3 years of the LTP, to investigate the actual scope of the new services. Thank you.
Great point for a submission. So yeah, encourage you to do that, and thanks heaps for coming along this evening as well. Are there any other, and if you've got any other questions, you're welcome to ask them on other topics as well. Are there any other questions coming through?
Yep, so there's one from Kath on the chat. It's one for Lorraine as well. So any electric buses for Queenstown? Any thoughts of smaller vans for some lower demand routes or times to reduce costs and carbon?
Thank you. Yes, the 194 million investment proposal for Queenstown that is in the LTP is based on the Queenstown Public Transport Services business case. That includes electrifying the fleet over the 10-year period. And in fact, it will be on some of the routes a new fleet of high capacity electric vehicles, so capable of carrying almost double the number of passengers that the buses that we see running around carry, and they will be electrified as well. And also, as part of the business case, we have looked at on demand, what we call on demand, which would be those smaller type vehicles, potentially running services, and those particularly proved to be something that would support public transport uptake and opportunities for people in Queenstown Hill area and Goldfields as well.
It was a very uneasy feeling.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else we need to answer on that one? Feeling happy with the answer there? Seems like it. Thank you, Lorraine. Are there any other questions?
Another one from Nigel. So is the Queenstown business case detailed in the LTP?
The Queenstown business case is not detailed in the LTP. The Queenstown business case is the investigation that we did to provide all of the I guess the finances and the money and the understanding of what we needed to invest in, which is in the LTP. The business case itself is a standalone document, and it was also developed through consultation in sort of September, October last year. So more details on the business case can be provided by looking at the business case itself and some of the consultation materials.
I do ask a second question, sorry. Is it available in print?
It's available online.
Oh, yeah. And Councillor Elliott has actually provided that. Thank you. So Patricia has another question.
Patricia.
Yes. Hi. I just have another question about flood protection and drainage. I'm not sure how Otago Regional Council fits in with all the property development that's going on in the Wanaka Queenstown area and how that is affecting the drainage and flood protection on already existing long-term properties there. What would you do to protect the existing properties from being flooded or earth moving because of the development that's going on around them?
Thank you. This is probably one for Pam, and it's probably quite a complex one depending on whereabouts we're talking about specifically. But Pam, you probably have some answers here. Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly is a bit complex, and depending on area and development and everything, it is a bit tricky to answer without knowing specifics. I guess the easiest way to sum it up from an engineering perspective is that we don't have any specific flood or drainage schemes potentially in that area outside of the Stony Creek scheme that I mentioned earlier. We typically work alongside the likes of Queenstown Lakes District Council and other territorial authorities around planning for future development. So there's a bit of work going on in that space at the moment, and in our draft strategy, we do actually highlight those land use changes as quite a significant impact on our infrastructure or the need for that infrastructure. So yeah, it is a bit of a tricky question.
Yeah, I'm just asking you because I've actually had things move on my property since there's been development near it. So, and I know of other people who have also had, you know, flooding and such like things. There's not much that you can do about it though. What can you do about it?
Yeah, if you do have a specific area or question that you are interested in, we do respond to queries quite frequently, and you can contact us by just reaching out via our 0800 number, and that will redirect the query either into us as engineering or potentially even our natural hazards or civil defence teams to wherever that's appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Yeah, there's not really a simple answer on that one, and sometimes the responsibility sits with the district council and sometimes with the regional council. But yeah, if we can understand more about the situation, that'll really help us. So feel free to contact the team. That'll be fantastic. Are there any other questions?
None so far the chat. No one's raising their hand as well.
I can quickly respond to the comment in the chat around the frequencies on the Kelvin Peninsula. They will also increase with the business case with the investment proposal for Queenstown.
Thank you, Lorraine. If there aren't any other questions at the moment, if there's any councillors who would like to just make a comment around the LTP or would like to contribute anything, you're welcome to as well. No? Everyone. Okay.
just thanks everyone for coming and participating in the process, but you know it doesn't really work as a consultation process if people don't show up, so thanks for doing that.
Very well said, Elliot. For people to come along in their evenings about dinner time, we really do appreciate it. So yeah, no, it's really good to have people coming along. So thank you. Anyone else then for questions before we sort of wrap up? And yeah, do remember that, yeah, we're available anytime. We do have that 0800 number. Also, to make submissions, of course, as well. But yeah, if you need anything else, any more information, we're here to help. So yeah, questions don't just stop now, and there's those drop-in sessions as well. But while we are here, last call for any questions or chats.
None so far.
It's always awkward waiting online, isn't it? But I'm just giving people a little chance if they did want to type something in. I would not want to cut them off midstream. So looks like we're all good at the moment though. So massive thank you to all our presenters and to Bridie for her support as well this evening, signing away there. Thank you so much. And to those of you who have contributed to the discussion as well. Can be a bit daunting coming along to an online session with all the experts and councillors and asking your question, but it means a lot to us when people participate, so thank you. We will be sharing a recording of this session on our website shortly, and we're also running another online session on the 19th of April with the same format. So yeah, if you'd like to let anyone else know about that, they might like to come and participate in something like this. If you would like to learn more about LTP proposals, please have a look on the website as a first point of call. You'll find the consultation document there, as well as that rates estimator that we spoke about earlier. It's a great tool. Alternatively, we'd love to see you at one of our drop-in sessions, and they're running between the 10th of April and the 18th in Dunedin, Mosgiel, Oamaru, Balclutha, Alexandra, Queenstown and Wanaka. And we have full details of that on our website. Consultation will be closing on the 28th of April, and following that, for anyone who's requested to speak to their submission, there will be hearings as well, so a bit more of a formal setting to come and present to us what you would like to say, and that will be held on the 20th or the 21st of May. Council then deliberates on all the feedback that we receive, and hopefully we get heaps, and we make any final changes by the 30th of May. The long-term plan is adopted on the 26th of June and takes effect on the 1st of July. So yeah, thank you again for coming along, and we look forward to receiving your submissions on the long-term plan. I'm just going to close now with a short karakia. Kia tau te rangi Mārie, ki runga i ngā iwi o te ao. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.